I hope you're well and having a really lovely day today. Today I'm doing a video which was one I wanted to do after filming a Disney World version a few months ago with the lovely Jennifer Oakes, and that video will be linked below, and it was how to meet characters at Disney World. That video is quite helpful to a lot of people and is quite popular because it's one of those things you do want to know before you get there, how you're going to find these characters. And I did want to do one for Paris, but obviously I didn't want to do that video until I'd been to Paris and experienced it. Now, I actually didn't think that we would meet a lot of characters, and when I say we, it's me and my best friend Chelsea. We went together to Paris, and you'll probably know a lot of the characters that we've met if you are watching along with our vlogs, and the playlist for that will be linked below. But I didn't think we'd meet that many characters because I was kind of like, we're already there for 5 days, we're going to be doing a lot of rides. Because I hadn't experienced Disneyland Paris before, I didn't know how it worked. When I went to Disney World in 2013, we met around 10 characters over the 7 or 8 days that we were at a Disney park. I don't think is that many for that amount of time, but the people I was with didn't really want to do the character thing, and I wasn't as into it then as I am now. Meeting characters at Disneyland Paris, I honestly absolutely loved it and had the time of my life. I had some incredible experiences meeting the characters, and it was amazing because I just didn't think it would play that big a part of our holiday. I actually completely filled up my autograph book. I think I've got 38 signatures, which is incredible for 5 days. I was actually struggling to find space for characters to sign on our last day. So I'm going to talk you through the ways that I can think of for you to meet characters at Disneyland Paris. So the first thing you need to do when you get to Disneyland Paris is make sure you pick up a guide to the parks, which is your park map for both parks, and your program times guide. This is your massive map with everything that's happening in both parks, and then your times guide is literally all the character times and all the parades and shows that are happening. So you need to make sure you've got both of them. You then need to read them and make sure you know what characters are where at certain times. Disneyland Paris does not tell you where every character is going to be throughout the day. A lot of it is spontaneous. They only tell you where certain characters are going to be. So for example, the Princess Pavilion, you know that it's open from 10 AM till 3 PM. You know that Rapunzel is outside by the teacups from 12 PM till 2 PM, for example. So you need to read your times guide, look at your guide to the maps parks thing, and make sure you're aware of what characters are scheduled and you're being told about, because that is your main source of information for the most important meet and greets. If you are staying with a Disney hotel or Disney resort at Disneyland Paris, I cannot stress enough how important and beneficial it is for you to get up early in the morning and go to the extra magic hours. It was so worth it for us. We went at off-season time, it wasn't that busy, but the time that we went for extra magic hours, it was just completely dead. The park is as quiet as it's going to be because it's only open to hotel guests. And a special part of extra magic hours is that they have characters in the park for you to meet, meaning the queues are so much shorter, and they're actually characters that you can't really meet as easily all the time because they're not scheduled on your program. So when you walk into the Disneyland park for extra magic hours, you will see at least 3 characters in front of your main street. We saw Donald, Pluto, Minnie, Goofy, Mickey and Minnie together. We saw Chip and Dale. So there's lots of those sort of characters there at Extra Magic Hour. We did it with Pluto, Mickey and Minnie and Chip and Dale. Because the park is only open to hotel guests at this point, it's not as busy as it is later in the day. So they are kind of special character meet and greets for just Disney Resort guests. I cannot stress how important it is that you make use of those 2 extra magic hours that you have for the Disneyland park if you're on site, especially if you want to meet characters. It's a really good way to do it. Now, I've already mentioned about certain character meet and greets happening in certain places that are permanent fixtures. So Mickey Mouse in Fantasyland, he has his own building. I do want to talk a bit more about the Princess Pavilion. We had one awful experience there and one good experience there. There are 2 different ways that the Princess Pavilion operates, and we did one of each. The first way is literally just a general queue, and the queue is officially from 10 AM when the park is open to everyone, but the queue starts at like 8:30. People start making their own queue, and it's just a general queue, and they close it off at around 3 o'clock. The second way is a reservation system, so you start queuing from around 9 AM I think they opened the queue. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was 9 o'clock that they opened the queue, and then from 10 AM they start giving out return time tickets, kind of like a fast pass, but they call it a reservation. They open it at 10 AM because that's when the park is open to everyone. People that are staying on site do start queuing from 9 o'clock. The earlier you queue, you're obviously guaranteed a ticket return time because they do go very quickly. They have a limited number. If you've been watching the vlogs, you will have actually just seen in my most recent one the not nice experience that we had the first time we did the Princess Pavilion, where we queued for for 1 hour and 45 minutes and barely moved, and when I asked how much longer it was going to be, they said it was going to be at least another 2 hours from that point. I don't want to talk too much about the second experience because it will be in vlogs from our last day of the trip. We went when it was the reservation system on our last day. We queued for 1 hour from 9 AM till 10 AM, and then they started giving out the return time tickets, and we had a return time ticket of 11:30 till 12, and we were maybe number 30 in the queue. When we went back at 11:30, we literally waited 5 minutes, if that. So the reservation system is so much better, and I think they do the reservation system for peak season when it's busier at Disney, and the general queue for off season when it's not as busy. Whichever system it is when you go, you need to be there at least 1 hour early. It's very popular. The first time we went, the queue was awful. I don't want to insult any cultures or anything. Certain European cultures are not like the British and don't queue nicely. It was shoving, pushing, kids hitting people, swinging their arms around, no consensus of general space awareness or anything. It was horrible. I'm not that much of a claustrophobic person, but it was awful. You do not get to pick or even know which princess you're going to meet. And then you get to the front and there will be 2 princesses, 1 in each room, and you don't know who's in there. They won't tell you who's in there if you ask. They will just say it's a surprise. If you're lucky, they will ask you which princesses you've met before and try and allocate you to the room with a princess that you might not have met before. The princesses do like 45-minute sets as well, so they're changing over all the time. First experience was awful. Second reservation time, it was much better. Another way for you to see characters and interact with them but not actually get pictures and autographs is to watch the parades and the shows. The main one that happens every day is, I think, called Magic on Parade. I was getting it wrong every day, but it's a really good parade, and you will see so many characters. If you're standing at the front, you will interact with them and they'll wave and talk to you, and I was like doing this to Peter Pan, and we were like having Peter Pan banter, and we actually had so much interaction with characters from Parade just because we were singing along and dancing and getting involved and having a really good time. The more you look like you're having fun, the more these characters are going to want to interact with you and bounce off you having fun. You won't be having pictures and selfies and getting autographs with these characters, but you will be having really good interactions with them, and you have to watch the parade anyway and watch these shows because they are amazing. A really good way to meet characters at Disneyland Paris is actually something that happens in the Studios park, and it's something that I did not think I was going to enjoy at all. Stars in their cars. When we were there, which was March this year, it happened for 2 hours, and it was 2 different groups of characters that did 2 sets, so you would see the same group of characters twice. Basically a massive circle with a small stage in the middle and a rope around the circle, and characters come out in their cars and they just walk around the circle and they sign autographs for you, take pictures and interact with you. I like to have like one-on-one character interaction and talk to them and just have fun and laughs with them, and because of the way some people are at Disneyland Paris, this did make me feel a little bit anxious at times. We stood there and we didn't know what to expect because we hadn't done it before, but the characters come out and they kind of work their way around, and you're not going to see every character because there's maybe like 10 to 15 per set. We met at least 90% of them. If you are standing there politely asking Minnie Mouse how she is, if she's having a good day, can I have your autograph, instead of shoving, pushing, shouting, screaming, pushing your child in their face, that character is not going to want anything to do with you and they're not going to talk to you. We met almost every single character because we took the time to thank them for what they were doing, because it's not an easy job what they were doing. Ask for pictures and ask for autographs, ask them questions instead of just getting a book and shoving it in their face and pushing and pulling on them like some people were. I'm probably not making it sound very good, but it was an amazing experience. We met literally 25 characters in an hour, if that. It was so much fun. Ariel, Woody, Donald and Daisy, Minnie, a rat from Ratatouille, Emile, Aladdin, Tigger, Pooh. You could tell that they genuinely liked talking to us. Donald and Daisy came round and they were not talking or interacting with anyone around us apart from us. People were shoving books under Daisy's nose and she was just pushing them back, going, nope, not signing. Daisy ducked aside, who she signs for, not the French person that's pulling on their costume. You have to do stars in their cars, but you have to do it with a positive, polite attitude. Other people there can be very rude and very selfish and inconsiderate. There was a mum, a French mum, saying to her child, kick that girl so she moves out of the way. It was brilliant. I loved doing it. It's different characters every day and you do get some rare characters there. Get a good spot and do it and have your autograph book ready. I did selfies at this one because I didn't really think it was like a good angle for taking pictures on the camera. It's amazing. You have to do it. Another way to meet characters at Disneyland Paris is to take part in a character dining meal. I had never done a character dining meal before on my other 2 trips to Disney. We had only booked the princess meal, which is Auberge de Cinderella, something Cinderella. The first day we got to Disneyland Paris, we actually went to Cafe Mickey's, which is in the Disney Village, and we booked for breakfast. We weren't expecting to meet many characters, so we thought we'll book a meal and then we know we're going to meet probably 4 or 5 at breakfast. Because we were staying on site, the Cafe Mickey breakfast was only €17 I believe, and it was a unlimited hot and cold buffet. We honestly had such an amazing time. We met Mickey, Tigger, Goofy, Pluto and Chip and Dale. Chelsea loves Chip and Dale and we hadn't seen them anywhere while we were at Disney, and I was trying to really stress the point of how important this was to her. They signed the books really nice, and instead of just writing like Chip and Dale, they left us little messages. It was really, really lovely. They really took the time with us as opposed to just like sign, picture, go, sign, picture, go. Dale then went off and then came back and was like doing this to say bring your camera, and took us to reception and went and got Chip, and Chip came over and then we had pictures together, which was so nice because we didn't think that was going to happen, and they're not actually supposed to do that at breakfast or any character meal, so that was really special that the characters went out of their way for us because they knew how much it meant to us. It is pricey if you are going for meals that aren't breakfast. I think it's like €30 for lunch and maybe even €50 for dinner. There is also a character meal in the Disneyland Hotel, which I think is called the Innovations meal. I don't really know anything about that. And the third one is the princess meal, which I talked about. It is pricey. I think it's around €65 for an adult. We didn't eat that much because you just get so caught up in the whole experience of the meal and the characters coming to you. And at the princess meal there's dancing. So there was Susie and Perla, which are Cinderella's 2 mice, and there was Cinderella and Prince Charming, Snow White and Aurora. I loved it so much. That was my first experience of a character meal and it was incredible. If there's characters you want to meet or you do really enjoy meeting characters, I would really suggest doing a character meal because it's just worth the money, especially for the princesses. With the Princess Pavilion situation, it's worth paying that money if you know you want to meet a princess. You're going to meet 3, so it's really just worth it. One of the last ways to meet characters at Disneyland Paris is just basically to look around for them. We had a lot of random character interaction experiences just because we were in the right place at the right time. For example, on our first full day we just happened to come across Susie and Perla. We met Captain Hook and Mr. Smee in Adventureland, Alice and the Mad Hatter, Tweedledee and Tweedledum by the teacups. They're not random. This is the thing that annoys me about Disneyland Paris, because they're obviously scheduled. The guests are random because they don't tell you about these things. To find these you need to be looking round corners and in quiet places, looking in places you wouldn't think a character would be because that's where they usually are. These meet and greets tend to happen earlier in the day. They don't happen the closer it gets to the parade because the characters need to be on parade, so we saw them at like midday-ish was when we found best for these sort of things. So they are all the ways I can think of that you can meet characters at Disneyland Paris. I hope I have covered everything. If you can think of something that I've missed out, please let me know in the comments below. It's very different to Disney World, but I wouldn't say it's worse than Disney World apart from a couple of things like not knowing which princess you're going to meet. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know any amazing stories you have about characters you've met. You're going to see some very special ones in upcoming vlogs that I hope you would enjoy. I would love it so much if you could subscribe if you're new and aren't already a subscriber on my channel. All my social media links are below and relevant playlists and Disney content for you to check out. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you very soon. Bye!